get my head around it. Because people always say the grieving process is something different for everybody. And it is, but I've never really had to go through something like this before. I've never lost someone so close to me before. And it's a really weird, surreal feeling, because you hear about stuff like this from maybe some of your friends, or you see it online, or you see somebody that you follow on social media or something talk about it, but it doesn't really hit you how intense that is until it happens to you. And I don't think I'm ready to like jump back into videos or anything like that anytime soon. I do miss streaming and I do miss making videos, but obviously it's not my priority right now. Having something like this happen is really recontextualizing a lot of stuff for me. I've been doing a lot of thinking and a lot of reflecting and a lot of reprioritizing, trying to figure out what exactly it is that I want out of my life at this moment. Because losing your dad is a weird, like facing of your mortality, I think. You see a lot of yourself in your parents. So when something like that happens, it hits you extra hard, and trying to figure out where I fit in everything has just kind of been on my mind, and what's important to me and what I want to do going forward, basically. To any of you who showed support, or any of you who sent me messages, or anybody who was sending any sort of thoughts or love my way and my family's way during this time, I really appreciate it. Thank you. It was very, very sweet and kind of you to do. To any of you who posted memes about it and posted negative stuff about it, you are absolute scum, and I fucking hate you, because you made something that was hard so much harder to go through. And being a person of influence online, it's sort of hard to avoid a lot of things. And it's hard to go through something like this knowing that so many people are around, and so many people know who you are, and so many people want information, and so many prying eyes on things. But thankfully, most people were very kind and very sincere and genuine about it. So thank you. I'm not going to share too much about what happened and anything got to do with my family or anything private like that, because I just don't think the internet needs to know. I think that that's going to stay with us. The only thing I will say is that because of this sort of current climate that we're in right now, me and my brother weren't even able to go home for the funeral. We had to sit at home and watch it over the internet, which was still, I'm glad that we were able to do that at least. It absolutely sucks that we couldn't go there. We couldn't be there. We couldn't be with our family because of what's going on in the world right now. And it's important to take that seriously, of course, but a selfish side of me was kind of annoyed with that. But at least we got to see it online, and at least we got to pay our respects that way and get some closure that way, which I think was desperately needed. And it was super hard, but I think at the end of the day, it was important to go through that. And just connect with family and talk about it and share stories like that, which is really nice. And I kind of want to share some stuff about my dad, like the way he lived his life, because I realized that I didn't really talk about him all that much on my channel. He was a very hardworking man. He worked so hard all day when I was a kid. And I always admired that about him. He always seemed so strong, so dependable, so respected. He worked so hard for our family to provide. And there's 7 in my family total, so it was a pretty big family. And he worked his ass off to provide for our family. And I didn't tell him that when I was a kid, but I am super grateful for the amount of effort he put in to keep our family going. And he was an older man. He was 85 almost when he died. So he was, I was always the kid who had a much older dad. My dad was as old as some of my friends' granddads. So it was a little different for me because my dad had already retired by the time I was like before I was hitting my teens even. So my dad was always at home, and he was like the caretaker at home then, and he would always cook me dinner after school. And I would always have potato waffles and fish fingers for any Irish or English or people who know what that means. I would always have that almost every day after school. My dad would cook it for me. And no one cooked fish fingers as good as my dad did. And I would always have that after school. And he took care of me because I was always the first to come home at that point, because my older siblings were either working or living somewhere else, or they were in a higher grade than me, so they came home later from school. But I always vividly remember those times when I came home and it was just me and my dad in the kitchen, and we would chat a little bit about what happened in school, and those are always super fond memories. And then something else that I always remembered fondly was when Lost came out, the TV show, which was like my favorite TV show of all time when I was growing up. Probably still is. I think a lot of the stuff that I like in TV and stuff came from that show. But I remember that came out and we had no idea what it was. When me and my dad sat down, because there was nothing else on TV, one night and watched the first 2 episodes, and we got enthralled with it from then. And every week that an episode of Lost came on, me and my dad would sit down together and watch it for almost, I think, the entire first season. And most of the second season, we got to do that because by the time the second season came out, I was heading off to college and we couldn't really watch it together as much. But I always fondly remember those sessions of watching Lost together, and we would theorize about what was going on, and he would ask me questions and I would pick up on stuff that he wasn't really paying attention to, and I would always be able to explain it to him. And it was just such a good time. So it's those types of things that I'm trying to remember now, after he's gone, to keep him in my mind. So I think what I'm going to try and do going forward in my life is to live by some of the core tenets that he taught me growing up, but also to live a life that he would be proud of, and to live his sort of legacy through me and carry it on. And teach anybody who's willing to listen about my dad and what he taught me. And maybe if I ever have kids someday, I can teach them stuff like that and just further that legacy on as well. Because I didn't get to be there at the end, but I think that I can carry him with me throughout my life every day. It's much harder to do than I thought it would be. But I'm going to keep grieving in my own ways. I'm going to keep processing it. I'm going to come back when I feel more ready and more engaging and in a much better headspace. But I've been doing some soul searching and journaling and just meditating on things. I've been trying to like read some stuff a bit more and just do things that are healthy for my brain, I think. But I do want to get back in and like game with my friends, maybe not like stream it or make videos out of it right now. But I do miss my friends as well online and playing games with them. So you might catch me somewhere else rather than right here. But I'll be back whenever I feel like I'm good and ready, however long that actually takes. But thank you guys for your understanding and your respect during this time, because it's hit me harder than I thought it would. That might sound like a really weird thing to say, but I don't know. I don't know where my brain's at right now, so maybe I should just end the video here. But thank you for listening and understanding, and I'll see you guys whenever.